As we've seen today, when faced with dangerous emerging situations, a swift response by law enforcement is paramount. But what does SWATing mean? SWAT is an acronym standing for Special Weapons and Tactics. For law enforcement, it is a large response to a high-profile call, usually those where people's physical safety is threatened. Usually a SWAT team is made up on regular officers who immediately prioritize the situation and work together to neutralize threats. We spoke to John Michaud, Husson University's director of the School of Legal Studies, who says even though today's threats were received in the form of calls and not physical presence, the presented danger was reason enough for the wide response.
It's a very dangerous response for law enforcement. You know, they're going normally very quickly, and of course they're full of adrenaline. They're there to save lives and protect citizens. If it's an absurd call, that's not going to call out a SWAT team. But with what's going on in the world today, armed people entering a school, you just can't shake it off. You can't say, no, it didn't happen.
He notes that the best advice for citizens who encounter a SWAT team response: steer clear of the area and give law enforcement an abundance of space to work.